In 2014, our goal was to educate and inspire the next generation of young Black leaders. So we set out to find the nation's best of the best to reveal the secrets to success. Our belief is that we should teach the young early the things that we learn late. Our lives are shifting the culture. Our lives are changing the narrative. This is the ShineHard conversation.
Never about you. It's always like much bigger than you.
So let's talk about your career and how you got started in entertainment.
Man, entertainment is funny. I always like to say it started back in high school just because back then I was just doing stuff that I love. I was like starting dance groups and performing at talent shows and rapping at lunch and freestyling with everybody and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, things kids do.
Stuff that you just love to do that you don't even realize what it means or where, cause it's just fun. Like you just, when you're dancing, you like people screaming. Like it's.
So what were the first steps you took to gain experience in the industry?
First steps I took, I did a lot of internships.
Okay.
When I was in college, I was the consummate hustler. Okay. When I got to college, I took that same kind of drive. I always had a crazy drive, crazy work ethic. Yeah. Very
much needed.
Relentless. So when I was in college, I interned. I interned at Warner Brothers Records, which was a big thing for me. My dream when I was coming up, it went from when I got to college saying I want to be a businessman, I want to be a lawyer. But I loved the music business. I knew who all the people were at the labels and on the credits of the albums because I grew up, like I said.
You were like reading the back of the disc.
I knew who the songwriters were, producers, the A&R. So then it was like, well, I love music. Because you think when you come from nothing too and you get to a place, you're like, okay, well, because I'm smart and now I have access, I should be a businessman. I should be a lawyer. I should be a doctor. I was like, that's not what I want to do.
We had these preconceived notions of what we should be.
Of what you should be doing. You don't see nothing else. So I said, I want to be an A&R. Then that became like what I wanted to do. So I worked at Warner Brothers Records, and it was funny because the only internship they had was alternative promotions. And I knew nothing.
What does alternative promotions mean?
It's basically like you promote alternative artists to radio.
Oh, okay. So you're going to radio stations trying to pitch small artists to these big stations?
Well, see, when I was an intern, I wasn't supposed to.
Oh, okay.
But what I would do is they had with the watermark copies that you would have to send out to radio. Yeah. So as an intern, my job was I had to get it ready for the head people to go have the meetings. They used to call them impact meetings to the radio station. But I would take the watermarks, because I got them early. I would learn the songs, learn what was going on, teach myself that. So then I would get on the phone with the programming directors. I would get on the phone with the people at the radio. Yeah. Then I would go because I would know about the records. So I would go to the meetings at the radio stations and I would pitch the records.
You would make the pitch
as an intern.
Yeah.
So like,
did you have any success doing that?
I don't know. I know. So Wiz had a song at that time. He had just done "Say Yeah," and Wiz was on the label, and he did another song called "Make It High" that they were pushing. But that's like when we were on the urban side, because the guy who was the head of urban promotions, like saw my hustle and was cool with the people I was working with. Yeah. So when a lot of people got laid off and a lot of stuff went down there, like he took me under his wing and I stayed. And then I started doing impact with him. So I saw a little bit of success, like we saw a little bit of success on the urban side.
Right. So how did you turn that hustle into an opportunity with Diddy launching Revolt?
Yeah, so when I was in college doing all this different stuff, I interned with Debbie Allen. Okay. And that was really dope. And there was a guy who was in the music business, who was an alumni of my college, who owned an agency. Right. And at this time, agencies were just building websites. Like a digital agency basically just made websites.
That's it?
Pretty much. Like they weren't talking about content or platforms or all culture.
Social media and all
that. No, it was they built digital like websites. Right. And long story short, he would also help me a lot with the concerts, like when it came to booking artists, when it came to doing different things, because he was in the music business. Yeah. And he became a mentor of mine. And
who was this?
His name is Will Campbell.
Will Campbell. Okay.
Yeah, Will Campbell. So he became like a mentor of mine, and I moved to New York out of school. Okay. And that's where I first got my real media taste. Okay. I moved to New York and was like, I want to be an editor at a magazine in New York City. Yeah. That's what I wanted
Here
to
you
do,
are,
right?
big
Nah,
city.
so I was
Bright-eyed,
like,
bushy-tailed.
but I had a job out of school and I quit my job and I moved to New York on a whim. And basically ended up running a blog, and then that blog got some traction. But that's how I learned I could really run a website and create content all day and like really do it well.
So what company was that?
It was called Multitude
Okay.
in New York. It was like a streetwear. They had like buzz as a streetwear brand, and the guy had a site. Again, this is like when that's new. Like blogs weren't really a thing.
Having a website was a thing.
I told him, I said, look, you don't got to pay me. I'll handle your marketing if you let me run your website. And he's like, I don't know how to write anything. Yeah, like, okay.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
And so I would work all day. I ended up getting a job at Bloomingdale's.
Okay.
Right? So I ended up working there during the day to keep the lights on. And I would just go in the streets and just throw myself in everything and write about it all day. And so when I came back, the same guy, Will, was like, yo, all that stuff you're doing, you should make that a company. I was like, huh? And so I ended up joining him, a few other people, and launched a company called Quantity, which is now a digital agency. Okay. And so it went from just having these ideas to doing campaigns for Wells Fargo and Google and doing Magic Johnson's websites and platforms and all these different people and creating their first, like these brands' first, like digital platforms and content, just all that kind of stuff. All the stuff I was doing. And we started winning like awards and gaining this traction. And so there was a guy who was paying attention, a guy who was working with Diddy, with Puff at the time, who was advising him, and he just got the deal pretty much. And I just remember getting reached out and was like, yo, love the work that you're doing. Like, and then there were people around him, right, that knew me back when I was an intern and saw the different things I was doing now. Because I went from that to being an ad exec. Like now I'm doing that at 23, 24. So he's like, he has this new channel. He wants somebody who is the culture, who's young, who knows this, who knows social media. That was big in social media.
He was picking up all the black, millennial, talented
people. Yo, if you look at the roster of people and what they're doing, it's like, it was crazy. So that's how that happened. And like literally in the same week, I ended up meeting with him. He wanted to meet at a breakfast that I met, like the Andy Schoen and all those people who were a part of it. And then I met with him, and it was just so organic, you know, like so organic. We just talked about the vision for it, the culture, like talked about our view of culture and revolution and what it looked like and what it had to be.
What do you remember about the first time you met Puff?
I remember I could tell you what it was like, but I would say the thing that stuck out the most was his genuine passion for culture. Okay. Like a passion you won't see when you watch him perform or when you see him on a castings list or something.
He's kind of a businessman at heart.
Yeah, well, he knows the difference between Sean Combs and Puff Daddy. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So,
from him, I learned about reinventing yourself. Like I've seen him go from Puff Daddy to P. Diddy to Diddy and to the billion-dollar mogul that he is today. So I definitely see that.
But I think the core of his real genius comes from the fact that he genuinely pays attention and he genuinely cares and he genuinely has a vision for the way he would use his influence to inspire people to action, which is influence. Yeah, he's a hell of a motivator. Dog, I just remember the first time I met him having computers laid out and he got videos and tumblers up and he has a whiteboard and it's just like, this is for real. Like, what I want to do with Revolt is real. You know, this is like my baby. This is the opportunity. I'm talking about, we're watching videos of Stokely Carmichael and James Baldwin and like old interviews. Like, it was just one of the dopest just conversations about all the stuff I cared about. Yeah. With somebody who embodies the culture, and it was comfortable. There was never a moment, the first time I met him, there was never a moment of like, oh, this is Puff. Like, I'm in his house or anything like that. It was literally, we were connecting on really making an impact and influencing a generation. That's what we were talking about. It's like, we're not talking about money. We're not talking about, it's like, how do we get to a point where we have something that influences
He trusted
a
you though,
generation.
and I think that trust made you feel comfortable enough to get in there and do your thing.
Yeah, that trust came with like one of the hardest boot camps of my life. It was like, boom, that same day we met. I got the offer that same day.
Okay.
Same day we met, yo. I probably started like a week, 2 weeks after that. I was going to South by Southwest. I got back, started. When I started, like within that first span of time, I had to go to New York. I go to New York. First, right when I get like off the plane pretty much and get my stuff to the hotel, we go to have a meeting. And that just set the tone for the whole thing. Walk in the building at 1710 Broadway, go up to his office, and he has the conference room, and everybody in there, mama is in this conference room. I'm talking about like, everybody's in this conference room.
50 deep.
It was crazy, like people were in that conference room. And then he just opened the doors and it's like, clapping, it's like this whole thing, and he's like, all right, let's get to business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's this gonna be? Just like puts me on the spot. Like basically, what's the stuff we're talking about? So from that, it was like staying in New York and building out decks on who are we covering? What are we talking about? What does it look like? What are the 50 best Tumblrs? Who are the 50 best graphic designers? And it's like presenting all of this to him. Yeah. You know, what's the mission statement, the value system?
That's a hell of a presentation.
What's our first 200 tweets look like? Literally, like what's our first 200 tweets? What does a documentary look like? What is an interview?
He was asking these questions to you guys.
I had to answer all of these questions.
So fast forward to 2.5 years later.
Yes.
You decided to take a step away from Revolt. You built it up. You accomplished what you meant to do there. And you end up getting a job with Complex. You actually worked with Huffington Post.
Yeah, right after.
Interesting because you were able to acquire an audience from both of those companies, but they're kind of speaking to different demographics.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like when it comes back to purpose, right? I always feel like it's just being able to translate a message. It's being able to understand the language and the lifestyle and the spirit of something, and being able to translate that to whoever, somebody with. When I think about Jay-Z, and one of the things that inspires me about Jay-Z is he literally is the epitome of representing the people who came from nothing, and also representing the people who are of influence and access and accomplishment.
Yeah, he kind of merges that.
I think those are the most powerful people in the world.
Absolutely.
So when I think about that, that's how I see the way I look at
that's deep.
the world.
I really believe that as well.
Yeah.
I believe that as well.
So when I look at the world, it's like I could walk in a boardroom. I could sit with a CEO, an investor, a billionaire, which I have. I can talk to them I can speak to them in their language. I can teach them about culture. I can teach them about content. I can teach them about you and I, what we care about, what we like.
And education is valuable. It's very valuable.
And then I can go back on the block and talk to everybody I grew up with. Anybody who was in Southeast at Broccoli City. We can speak the same language, kick it the same way, and I can translate to them what I got from the boardroom.
Our goal is to help young black boys and girls discover their passion and change the world, but we cannot do this without the help of the ShineHard community. Will you be the milestone donor that helps a 17-year-old black girl learn the path of a plastic surgeon? Will you be the keystone donor that helps a 22-year-old graduate break through into the tech industry? We as a community can accomplish so much together, but the time to act is now. Here's what you can do. Scroll down, click donate, and invest in the future of our community. I'm Johnny Bailey, and together we shine.